Hello everyone. In this last part of the tutorial, we are going to cover two things. The first being how to show a video feed coming from a scene captured 2D inside a widget. And the final step would be how to remotely control the drone. So let's get started. For the scene capture, we need a render target. I'm going to use the size of my screen resolution and leave everything else as is. Now right click on the render target and create a new material. We are going to change the shading model to unlit and connect the texture sample to the emissive color. And now inside the components of our drone, let's add a new component of type scene capture 2D and attach to the head of the drone so it moves along the animations of the drone. Set the texture target to the previously created render target, and we can already see how this works. So let's position the camera a little bit to make it look better. Once you are happy with the result, save the changes. And to show this inside a widget, we are going to set the brush image to the material we created. And we forgot to set it that it can be used with the UI. Let's fix that. Let's do a test play. Looks good, but one issue we have is that we cannot access the terminal more than once, and this is because we are not removing the buff from the player. As you remember, in the previous video I made a mistake with just calling the destroy actor on the client side inside the widget, so we need to fix that. For that, we are going to create a new custom event, make it run on the server, and inside there we are going to call the destroy actor and set it to self, and from the widget we are just going to call run on server remove buff. And now to the final step of actually controlling the drone. So let's add a click event on our take control button. And here we use the buff to call a run on server event that will take control over the drone. So let's create such an event. Open the buff and create a new custom event. Change the name and set it to run on server. I'm going to add an input parameter of type string, which will be the drone ID, which is going to be useful in future tutorials where we have multiple drones to control. For now, we are going to loop through all the drones on the map and use the first drone we find that belongs to us. For that, we are going just to check if the player IDs match. And if so, we're going to possess the drone and break the for loop. Save and compile. And now back in our widget, we are going to call the event we just created. But before that, we are going to disable the button so the user doesn't double click it fast and we call the event 2 times. And at the end, we are going to remove the widget from the viewpoint. Also, we want to send the drone ID. To do that, let's go to the SpyDrone clicked. We set the custom data of the take control button to the drone ID. So when we click the take control, that button will have the drone ID as a custom data. And we also need to enable the take control button in that case. So all we need now is pass the custom data as the drone ID to our custom event. Now we need to do some changes on the drone character. For that, let's go to the defaults tab, change the properties accordingly. And now in our graph, first we are going to remove the server tick as we don't need it. And then do some cleanup on the graph. We also need to make use of the deactivate and activate events. For that, let's open our terminal. Inside it, we are going to implement the two functions, BP container activated and deactivated. For these functions to be triggered, we need to make sure that the proper checkbox is checked in the defaults tab. We are going to create also a new function called getAllDrones. It will simply scan for all the drones on the map and return us a list of drones owned by us. And just like before, we are going to loop through all the found drones, compare the linked player ID, and in case they match with our own, we are going to add them to the temporary list, which we are going to return at the end of the function. And now in case it's a server, we call the function, loop through all the found drones, and call the multicast deactivate on all of the drones. Same with the activated, just that we call the multicast activate. Let's improve our multicast functions. Let's add some server logic, which will make the drones fall from the sky once deactivated, and make them able to fly once reactivated. Once the drone gets deactivated, we need to repossess our own character. For that, we are going to need a reference to our character and use it to possess it just like we did with the drone. To be able to repossess our character on our own, we need to add a button press event, in this case the button Q, which will switch back to our own body. And again, we will need a custom event which runs on the server so that we can execute server logic from the client side. Back in the buff, we need to pass the reference of our own character to the drone. And to do so, we are just going to extend from the SpyDrone character and set our own phone reference to it. And we also need 2 custom events which will run on the client to enable and disable the input so we can listen to the key presses and catch the Q button press. We're going to call the disable input once we want to switch back to our own body. And enabling input when we try to possess a drone. We will also need some checks to make sure everything is set before we use it. Let's test this quickly. First, we need to click on a drone. It enables the take control button, and when we click that button, voila, we are controlling the drone. Let's press the Q button, and we are back in our own body. Now let's see what happens when we turn off the generator. It turns off everything. Okay, we need to debug this. First, we are going to check the validity of the controller at some other places. I also missed to remove the reference to our player pawn once we repossess our own body. It's working now, no crashing. The drone falls from the sky. We activate the generator again, take control again. Everything seems to be working. So that's it for this tutorial. We're going to do more expansions in the future with adding more functionality to the drone and look for other potential crashes so it's safe to use on servers and doesn't crash them. Thanks for watching.